morning, Northeast Kansas. You're watching KSNT News at 5.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Brittany Moore.
And I'm KSNT News Storm Track meteorologist Kyle Borkett. I want to get right to the forecast this morning. Tracking some dry skies, a little bit of rain late last night, but today will be the coldest day of the week. That cold front that now is wreaking a lot of havoc across the eastern time zone with severe storms. That's all the way through our neck of the woods. No question about it. You will feel the difference outside this morning. Bundle up, ready to tackle those temperatures in the 30s. Skies, though, are mainly dry. That's the good news. We're getting ourselves into another prolonged stretch of tranquil weather. Breezy and cooler this afternoon. Our average high for March the 1st, happy first day of March, is 50 degrees, so a pretty seasonal day. We'll see the sun, but those northwest winds, they'll be gusting up to 30 miles an hour. Our KSNT satellite and radar, as it loops one more time, you saw some of that rain move through late last night. In fact, when I was driving into work along I-70, a little bit of a sprinkle late last night into the early morning hours of today. Our western and southernmost counties, not only are you dry, but you are crystal clear, and those clouds continue to leave Kansas off to the east. Temperatures right now upper 20s and low 30s. In a few minutes, a closer look at a big-time warm-up heading into the first weekend of March.
Our citizens deserve this, and so much more. So why not join forces and finally get the job done and get it done right?
All eyes were on the Capitol as President Trump addressed members of Congress for the first time last night. Trump says for too long, Americans watched their country crumble, and last year is when they began to push for change. During his speech, the president listed jobs going overseas, decaying inner cities, and infrastructure as some of the nation's biggest problems. He told Congress he could see Americans thirst for change while on the campaign trail.
Then in 2016, the earth shifted beneath our feet. The rebellion started as a quiet protest, spoken by families of all colors and creeds, families who just wanted a fair shot for their children and a fair hearing for their concerns.
President Trump also says he will not allow past mistakes to define the course of our future. In the meantime, political figures from right here in the Sunflower State are reacting to the president's address. Republican Senator Pat Roberts made his way to Washington for the speech last night. Roberts says in a statement, quote, President Trump is working to take our nation in a new direction toward a better economy, a stronger military, and a health care system that actually works. When asked what he thought of the speech overall, Roberts says Trump's delivery was Reagan-esque.
I think the president gave a very good speech. I think probably exceeded a lot of people's expectations. In some ways it was Reagan-esque, more especially asking people in the audience or referring to them to make a point. I thought the strongest point was trying to reach across the aisle to bring us together, solve the problems that everybody knows that we have.
Roberts went on to say that he is pleased the Trump administration is listening to those in rural America when it comes to his executive action. He emphasizes that as chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee, he hopes Trump will work closely with Congress to develop a policy that will give farmers and ranchers the ability to compete in a global market. And Roberts was not the only state Republican to give his 2 cents on the issues discussed in Washington last night. Senator Jerry Moran says that he appreciates the president's acknowledgement of last week's Olathe bar shooting. Moran says, quote, this tragedy motivated by prejudice and xenophobia that took a Kansan's life will not be tolerated. He went on to say that with a new Congress and administration, we have a real opportunity to make changes in our federal government that will improve the everyday lives of Kansans and Americans. Meanwhile, Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt commented on Trump's executive order to formally reconsider Obama's Waters of the United States rule. Schmidt says, we don't need that sort of central planning. Repealing this regulation will restore a traditional balance of power among states, local communities, and property owners. Several Democratic leaders were also in attendance for President Trump's address. Senators Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders were among them. Congressional Democratic women wore white to make sure they were noticed during President Trump's address last night. One congresswoman says it was to unite against any attempts by the Trump administration to roll back the progress women have made in the last century. Bernie Sanders says he hopes the president works to make all citizens feel welcome and appreciated across the nation.
I would hope that he learns that that's not where America wants to go, that we will not tolerate anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or racism or sexism or homophobia. America is beyond that. We don't need a president who tries to bring back those issues.
President Trump is removing Iraq from its travel ban list. Trump is expected to issue a new executive order as soon as today. And U.S. officials say it would continue to call for keeping citizens from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen from entering the United States. The officials say the bans are effective for 90 days. 30,000. That is the total number of books the United Way's Young Leaders Society will have given out since the start of their program. KSNT News reporter Jared Thompson is live over at the Shawnee County Public Library this morning, where the presentation will be held. Jared, tell us more about the program.
Well, Brittany, United Way has a group called a Young Leaders Society, and that same group put together their Junior Leader Readers program so dozens of students can have books just like this throughout the entire year. And so here's a look at the books that children will actually be receiving later on today. And since the Young Leaders Society is giving out their 30,000th book today, students are coming to the library to have Sheriff Herman Jones read to them. The program started back in 2010, having volunteers read to kids 3 to 4 times a year, and a worker with United Way says they give out about annually to children countywide.
We are really excited about all the students that we've had a chance to reach out to over the last 7 years, and we really wanted to get our volunteers and folks in the community together to celebrate this huge milestone for students in our community, having given out 30,000 books.
The program is targeted towards pre-K and kindergarten students in Shawnee County with the goal to help lower-income schools. The program aims to encourage children to read by giving them a few books throughout the year. And so this will happen upstairs in the auditorium at 10 o'clock with Sheriff Herman Jones. And the word on the street is that Sheriff Herman Jones is a noted expert storytime teller, so I'm pretty sure the students will love hearing from the sheriff reading to them later on today. Live at the library in Topeka, Jared Thompson, KSNT News.
Sounds like a great event and a huge milestone. Thank you, Jared, for all of those details. If you'd like to become a volunteer and read to children in our community, we have all of that information with this story up on our website at ksnt.com. While debate brews in Washington over the future of the Affordable Care Act, Medicaid expansion here in Kansas hangs in the balance. The Kansas House of Representatives voted to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. The move could provide health insurance for 150,000 uninsured Kansans. This comes as President Trump and congressional Republicans have vowed to repeal and replace the ACA. Despite this, supporters of expansion say we cannot wait for Washington to decide.
No one really knows what's going to come out of Washington, and it's complicated. President Trump even said that yesterday. It's going to take a lot of debate. It's going to take a long time. What we do know is that Medicaid expansion is good for Kansas.
Governor Brownback's office says they think the federal government should consider a block grant system based on Medicaid subscribers. They say this could accommodate both states that did and did not expand Medicaid. The Kansas Senate Public Health and Welfare Committee will hear testimony on Medicaid expansion on March 20th and 21st. The city of Sedgwick will no longer have a local EMS service. This will go into place later on today. This change comes after city officials decided to give up their certification to run an ambulance service. City Council President Tom Noon says the town's EMS department has been volunteering in recent years since they have not had the funding to hire full-time paramedics. Noon says the standard set by the state of Kansas requires you to have 24/7 coverage on all EMS shifts, which is something they have had some issues with maintaining.
The minimum standard, I believe, would be an EMT and a first responder. And so you have to have those available on your shifts.
Other cities in Harvey County are offering to help out. The city of Halstead voted last Monday to extend a temporary offer to help Sedgwick with EMS services. This agreement would provide service to residents both in the city as well as in surrounding rural areas up until June 30th. Today, a Missouri man is dead after being struck by a car at the intersection of K68 and I-35 in Ottawa. The Ottawa Police Department responded to this accident around 8 o'clock last night. 69-year-old Andrew Spisek of Wellsville was driving when he hit 34-year-old Jake Flores of Missouri, who was walking in the roadway. Flores was transported to a local hospital and later passed away from his injuries. Spisak and 3 passengers inside the car were not injured. This remains an ongoing investigation.
10 minutes after 5, wake it up to temperatures this morning in the 30s. This afternoon, only a high temperature around 50 degrees, maybe 52 or 53. But the farther north you live, the cooler it will be. For example, Hiawatha, I'm forecasting a high temperature for you at 49 degrees. Now today, the coldest day of the week. Here's a little tease of what's to come for the upcoming weekend. Saturday and Sunday, get excited right now. Keep those outdoor plans. Lots of sunshine and very warm. In fact, by Sunday, high temperatures make a run at 75 degrees. Your main weather story today will be those winds, actually gusting as high as 30 miles an hour, but blowing in from the north and west and bringing some of that cooler weather with them. They relax tonight, but again tomorrow they'll be back. A due west wind for Thursday and will warm things up very slowly into the weekend. You just saw that forecast. In a few minutes, a closer look at a rain chance for early next week.
Plus, concerns are high for Kansas farmers in the current economic downturn, and an increase in land prices is not helping. What the new agriculture land valuations are estimated statewide. Straight ahead. The time is 5:11. Stay with us. You're watching KSNT News on your Wednesday morning.